This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
It just popped up on his phone without notice. He was sitting on the metro reading his book when it appeared, his addition to the War Room, as it would have been referred in a Strangelovian tribute. In the modern age, the bro tank. A quick glance down the guest list made it clear as to whom he was sharing this space with. The Secretary of State, the Defense Secretary, the Vice President, the Secretary of Intelligence, the FBI Director, and him, Ryland Peters, junior reporter for the New York Yarn, often confused for Ryland Lakes, the senior advisor to the President. Peters' influence rarely breached the walls of the widely circulated yet underappreciated newspaper that he dedicated his commute to contribute to. He knelt down to pick up his paperback that had hit the soiled floor of the under-maintained rail carriage. Such was his surprise at the discourse that was taking place. "They won't know what hit them," read one post. "It'll be like the 4th of July," read another. "We should test the nukes, they're due for a spin," read a third. At first, Peters was confused. The context not apparent that these were the most powerful officials in charge of the most well-equipped and overly funded military in the Western world. How was he to be aware that they would broadcast their plans of carnage over a pedestrian-grade messaging service? And yet, here they were, doing just that. Are we invading too? Not if we rain hellfire, the ground would be unlivable. You know how the boss is obsessed with expansion. This could be a good opportunity to add to the Greenland and Panama plans. Peters was not dreaming. This was all in accordance. They were openly discussing plans of attack. What he couldn't determine was whether or not the orchestration was legitimate or if these were jovial discussions of a humorous kind. He wondered if he should make his presence known when his train pulled into 135th Street and he exited onto Conclave Avenue, up the fire escape to the window that sat adjacent to his rickety desk. His colleagues were already sitting around in an oval listening in to their line manager discussing their latest budgetary challenges. "Nice of you to join us, Ryland," Stephanie said mockingly. "I'm sorry, Stephanie, it's just..." Ryland stormed through the enormous opened window and over to his boss, his phone in hand as the others looked on and forgave his intrusion. "You've got to see this," he added. She rolled her eyes, wise to his antics. "What is it this time? The mayor has declared Tuesday to be meat-free taco day?" she said with an expectation of a ridiculing laugh. Ryland thought it better to explain. He showed her his screen and scrolled the dialogue with his thumb as he watched her eyes scroll the conversation that was taking place. "What is this? What am I looking at?" "Look at what they're saying," he explained, pointing at the screen. "They're talking about going to war, right?" he said. "I don't know. They're saying something. What is all this?" she said, putting her glasses on and leaning in. Look at what they're writing," he said with urgency. "The Mano people aren't known for fighting back when heavy artillery is used. Industrial-tested tanks and other modern weaponry would not have factored into their defenses. In light of this, they should fall within a matter of hours. This would allow for a ground invasion to secure the oil and mineral assets," he read out. "Okay," said Stephanie. "So what? Why are you showing me this?" "Look at who is in the chat," he said. He clicked a series of thumbs to showcase the guest list and held the screen up for her to observe. He watched as she looked the names up and down, all corresponding with their numbers. "Is this for real? Remember when you put me on in D.C.?" he reminded. "That was 6 years ago," she said. "Well, I often get calls for Ryland Lakes, the advisor to the president. I still get them." Stephanie took her glasses off and walked away from the group. They had begun to circle Ryland, asking questions and keen to see the conversation play out in real time. "Are you telling me this is a conversation between the heads of the military on a civilian messaging service and they have added you by mistake?" "It looks like it." The legal department was out to an extended morning tea. They were due to engage in continuing professional development modules later in the day. The coffee break was their third. Their surprise at the enthusiasm with which Stephanie Hing and Ryland Peters entered their borough caught them off guard. They were briefed and began looking over the messages as they appeared one after another in real time. "How dumb are they?" Kenneth, head of legal, suggested. Super dumb, replied Allison. What should we do? Asked Stephanie. I don't know, Kenneth said. Do they know it's you in there? He asked Ryland. No way. I'm convinced they think they've added Ryland Lakes. He's the senior advisor to the president. Well, the first thing we need to do is to advise the State Department and let them know that you have been privy to an unsolicited exposure of sensitive information, Kenneth said. Is that really necessary? Stephanie asked. I'm keen to start writing on this right away. Major security breach on civilian messaging system. Junior staff writer allowed access to confidential and sensitive information about possible military targets. Come on, Kenneth. This is major news. This is Pulitzer stuff, Ryland said with a bounce in his step. We're one click away from the breadline, Kenneth. You said yourself that you were twiddling your thumbs since the restructure. How long can we wait until this place files for Chapter 11? Stephanie reiterated. This could be a big opportunity. Kenneth sat back in his chair and placed his index fingers to his mouth. I've given advice, he said to his junior lawyer. Correct? Correct, Kenneth, Allison replied. And they have chosen not to act on that advice, correct? Allison looked to Stephanie. Stephanie looked to Ryland. Ryland looked to his phone and could see the 3 dots of a response being crafted by a member of the group chat. It appeared in an instant, and he read it out loud to them. I've just spoken to the boss. He said high-impact weaponry hit by surprise at the end of the month. Plant a story now to assess the public appetite. Ryland put the phone down and looked back at the others. Stephanie walked over to a TV monitor that was adorning a boardroom. She switched it on and dialed in the cable code for rabid 24-hour news. The reporter on the couch of the morning show was briefing viewers as to what they could expect in the coming hour. The Republic of Mano continues to hold hostages from their conflict in Yelkton, and no amount of diplomacy is working. That's the latest according to a report issued by the State Department in the last. Stephanie muted the TV. She looked at Kenneth, who remained with his fingers to his lips. I've given my advice, he said. What you do is up to you.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.